Hello everyone, welcome to Weeb the People, a podcast dedicated to all things anime, from the perspectives of an advanced viewer, casual, and beginner. I'm your host, Daniel.
Happy NBA Finals kickoff. Lakers in 6. My name's Malcolm.
I have been transported back 10 years and am now back at my parents' house. Help. My name's Jake.
How old would that make you? 10 years from now? What age would that put you at?
Oh, 10 years in the past is what I meant to say, because that's how time works.
Oh, but still, how old would you be?
Didn't I jump into the future? Did I say 10 years?
You did say 10 years, yeah.
But like I said, 10 years forward or back? I said back, right?
These listeners are probably going to think we're losing our goddamn mind, because I didn't.
I was looking at the show notes the entire time, so I'm not going to lie.
Well, I would have still been in high school if we were going 10 years back, and my bedtime is coming up, so I do need to go soon.
Yeah, and Reliant K's about to drop an album, so we do need to.
But this is my deathbed.
All right, in today's episode,
speaking of music,
yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, you got me. Speaking of music, we'll be talking about the formula of anime. Oh my god!
Because you people do not give us money for this podcast, we do not take enunciation lessons, and this is the shit that you get. Please Venmo me. I will drop that somewhere.
So anime openings, the formula. Why do they sound so similar to each other? What's like the format? How come the animation always has like a certain sequence to it? And why do they look so similar overall? So that's what we're going to be talking about and dissecting today. If you guys have any suggestions on any topics y'all would want us to talk about, any shows y'all would want us to watch and discuss about, let us know. Please feel free to DM us on any of our social medias or email us. So we're going to start off. So let's break down the basics. So what we mean by anime opening right now. I'm going to be referring to mostly the usual 1:30 song that you hear at the very beginning of every like anime episode before the actual episode airs and stuff. For those of you all that were unaware, anime openings aren't just like produced and made for that 1:30 and then that's it. They're actually like full-length songs. These can be anywhere mostly from 3 to 5 minutes. That's usually like the range. Or you could be like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and have an ending that's 8 minutes and 36 seconds total. But yeah,
some Freebird shit right there.
It's long. It's a long song. Roundabout slaps, but it's a long song. Moving on. So we're going to be talking about the 1:30 long anime openings that the TV's allotted for, right? So most of the time what ends up happening is the anime studio, the producing studio, either simply shortens the length of the song, and if that works, or formats its sequence a little differently depending on if the song's like actual sequencing, and we'll talk about this later, like the chorus and stuff and the verses and stuff doesn't match up with the allotted time given. So yeah, let's see. Secondly, this is obviously not going to cover every single anime opening in the world because this is just a very generic anime opening. Like once we start talking about it, you as the viewer, if you've seen enough anime or listened to enough anime, right, you should be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that, I recognize that. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, to the rule. But yeah, so it's just going to be the general anime opening. The goal for this episode is to show off this anime formula in layman's terms, while very briefly touching on the music theory aspect of it, because unfortunately we do have to talk about that. I'll try to limit the jargon to the best of my ability as much as possible while explaining it to you guys.
For the plebs.
In case you don't know anything about music and have no music experience, because, the three of us, Jake, Malcolm, and I, we were in marching band. We've been in marching band ever since, middle school, high school, whatever. We did it all through college.
You could say I'm an artist.
Exactly, right. We have instrumental experience. We have vocal experience. So we at least know the fundamentals. We're not career musicians, right? But we at least know the basics. And
that's for damn sure.
It's a rough life for career musicians. I respect that. But yes, so we at least know the basics. So with that, I'm gonna try my best to break it down and just simply talk about the fundamentals and the very bare minimum that you need to know to understand this anime formula. Let's see.
Also, just to clarify, when you say career musicians, you mean classically trained classical performance musicians and not people like the Chainsmokers.
Yeah, people who actually know music theory.
Yes.
who actually know music theory. How about that? So yeah, because I mean, you could.
Backseat of my Rover, that's for sure.
I mean, because you could just make up a song and make millions, and you just got lucky and fuck it. I mean, if it works, if it fits, it ships, right?
Yeah.
So all right. Yeah. With that, well, I was gonna say finally, but I already talked about it, so rip. But yeah, so we're gonna keep it basic. That's basically what it's gonna be like. Cool. With that, let's dive into the song structure. So what I mean by sound structure, this is basic musical terminology when we're talking about a song. This isn't really music theory related too much, but it's basically just splitting up different parts of a song and how to categorize those different parts of the song. So with that, let's start it off. So you have the introduction. This is pretty self-explanatory. This basically just starts with the song. Easy peasy. This can be anywhere from the range of 5 to 20 seconds usually, and the intro is what sets the what?
I don't know. Sorry, I read introduction and I immediately started thinking like, if I was writing this as a paper, I'd be like, in this music video, I will be using the G chord about 3 different times in a different couple of structures.
Yeah, by the end of the song, I hope to relay the feelings of this, and this.
Separating each topic with a paragraph and or chorus.
Please get ready for my body paragraphs.
But yes, the intro is what sets the theme or the mood of the song. In typical anime format, this is usually like a quick lick, a quick little teaser taste of what's going to come later in terms of music, and this happens before the title, like of the anime, usually pops up on screen. So it's like that first little, like I said, 5 to 20 seconds of music and a little bit of animation before the title of the anime goes onto the screen.
You get a little teaser of that motif that will be constructing
so
the song around.
That's just the introduction, right? So next we got the verse. This is, in terms of anime, this is what comes up after the title screen, right? So the verse serves as like one of the first tools to basically showcase in more depth what the song is trying to represent. In jargon terms, this is from Wikipedia. I just ripped this, not gonna lie. The verse is to be understood as a unit that prolongs the tonic. The musical structure of the verse nearly always recurs at least once with a different set of lyrics. So basically all that means is, in terms of anime openings, this one, the singer begins to sing obviously after the title card, and the animation in the background, this is like introducing the characters, either showcasing them off, showcasing the scenery of where they're going to be at, so on and so forth. And it's like the very first thing that you hear outside of the intro.
Right. Cool. And so the verse, typically those are going to be lyrics, right? Like there's going to be words that are spoken. Now they're not going to be.
Yeah, this ain't no spoken words. Snap, snap, snap. Welcome to my coffee table. Coffee.
It's like you have a sick whip, brother, and then it's like, all right, and then now I went back home.
Jesus died for our
Cynthia's.
Cynthia.
But the verse is going to set some themes for the show sometimes. Like I've noticed that a lot in the anime that we watch. Like the lyrics are a little bit cryptic, but they're somewhat related to the story or the story that they want to tell.
And to bounce off that point, remember, like I said before, these songs are not just made for the animes that they're featured in. They're actual full-length songs. So then what ends up happening is that the like creators, the lyrics, the lyricists, the band, whatever have you, the singer, they don't want to be super direct with the anime because they don't want this song to only be associated with the anime. So like, let's say if it was, I don't know, Akame ga Kill, right? And then they don't want to be like, oh yeah, Akame got her fucking cursed blade and killed a bitch, right? They don't want to say that. They want to be something more vague, like, maybe even get rid of the gender entirely and just pick, oh, you're going to be a hero, you're going to save the world, blah, blah, blah. Very vague terminology so that anybody even outside of anime can still listen to this song and be like, hey, I like that song. So, yeah.
Take your sword of justice and stab it through the ice cold heart of capitalism. Spoiler, that's episode 13.
One thing that I wanted some clarification on was the actual song is written for the show, or do sometimes they like pair them separately? Are they commissioned pieces for that specific anime?
Yes and no. So yeah, it depends. It really does. Sometimes it happens hand in hand, and it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna produce it for this anime, but obviously it's still gonna be a standalone song. You do you. Or they already heard of them creating a song, and it's like, hey, we want to buy the rights to that song to be able to use that song in our anime. How do you feel about that? Okay, boom.
Like Send Me On My Way by Twisted Root, how that's only associated with Ice Age, and Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts, Falling for Cars.
God, I love Cars.
So good. Such good. Ooh.
Have you guys thought about this? Maybe if we are really strapped for cash, we can do a partnership with Sony and Universal Music and do a compilation series called Now That's What I Call Anime. And it's all the best OPs compiled on one compact disc, a compact laser disc.
So, okay, compilations,
Hold on.
playlists.
To remind me to mail this podcast to myself, get it postmarked. TM.
In 2002, please.
Save it to the past. All right, so yeah, that was the verse. Now moving on, we have the pre-chorus. This is also known as the build, channel, or transitional bridge. This serves as a lead up to the chorus, or basically the meat and potatoes of the song, the hook, if you will. There are a multitude of ways to represent this. This can either be, it has like a simple beat at the very beginning of the verse, and then it's like a slow drum beat that accelerates in time, and then it goes from like quarter notes, and then eighth notes, and then fucking like it's like a big drop that's going to happen with the verse. But this is the pre-chorus. This is basically the bridge that helps tie these two thoughts together. In anime openings, in those terms, this is when the characters have already been introduced, the series already been introduced, and they're about to gear up to like fight and do some epic stuff on the animation screen. Yes. So then with that, then we go to the chorus or refrain, however you refer to that. This is what, like I said, this is the hook of the song. So this is the part of the song that people will mostly remember. If you ever think about a song and it's a song
All
that's
my
like,
life I want money and power, respect my mind or die from blood shower, What's up?
okay, bars. Okay.
Oh, they're not mine.
Let's be very clear about that.
Let's be very clear about this.
I destroyed them. And not in like a cool way either. I did that thing. I ruined it.
So the chorus, is the main hook of the song, and this is what, like I said before, this is what you remember. This is the meat and potatoes. This is what everybody remembers when they think of a song, or anime song in this case, right? And in terms of animation, this is when the characters start flying in the screen, attacking the sky for no reason. You already know. I'm looking at you, My Hero Academia. That happens all the time. The characters start fighting each other. They're just using their powers on nothing because it looks cool, I guess. And that's basically dramatic stuff. This what happens during the chorus. The chorus in a song usually repeats. If this was not an anime opening that we were referring to, in a full-length anime opening song, this would happen. But in terms of the minute and 30, there just isn't enough time. So it's only going to happen once, the chorus or refrain, and you hear it, and you already know what's going to happen. And for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, you already can get an idea of like your favorite anime that you've watched or checked out, right? And you'll be like, oh, okay, now exactly what he's talking about. Right. So then finally, we have, and this is strictly towards anime openings, it's not towards just songs in general, because there's terminology I'm going to exclude. But then you have the outro or the conclusion of the song. This is basically when the song's already wrapped up. You already have an idea what the song was about, and then now they're closing it off, bringing it all together, and culminating it into the final part where it ends. In terms of animation, you have like the characters already fought. Maybe the characters are standing side by side together in a pose or whatever. Maybe they're gazing off into the distance, or maybe it's just a single shot of like a scenery or whatever. So that's what usually happens during the outro or conclusion, whatever terminology you prefer. So yeah, that's just very simple song structure and musical terminology in terms of the song for anime openings. Like I said before, I've excluded a multitude of different terminologies. I didn't talk about post-chorus, I didn't talk about bridges, I didn't talk about instrumental solos, etc., just because those don't really apply to our anime topic right now. But they would if we were talking about a full-length song. So yeah, those are just different musical techniques and versions that are utilized in the full versions of anime songs or in other songs in general. Any questions, comments, concerns before we move on, y'all?
One quick comment. I think it's Honda, I believe. They have recently put out a commercial that pops up on my ESPN feed nearly every 5 minutes. But it is a horribly remixed version of Hey Ya by Outkast. And God, if they could just watch one anime opener, they would be able to nail this commercial so much better. but it's like, what's cooler than being cool? All right, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, and I'm like,
Hey,
okay, whoa, there's got to be like a build up or something. You can't just
That's like
start
the
skipping.
audio version of somebody picking up Photoshop for the first time and just trying something.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you can magic wand this and delete a background. Let me put mayonnaise inside an egg. Why?
But yeah, so that's song structure. That's that one ties more towards how animation on the screen, why it looks so similar, and how come it plays out so similarly, if that's the word, for different animes in general. I don't know. It's the word that's we're going to go with, and it works.
Weeb the Peopleisms. We'll have our own little mini book that you can read on the toilet, right next to your Big Johnson magazines.
I'm not an English major, so you know.
There you go.
Right. So then now that we got that basic song structure and terminology down, like I said before, we're not going to deep dive into music theory because then we'd be a full-on music theory podcast. There's people who know way more about that stuff than the three of us. Like I said, the three of us know fundamentals, we know the basics, but there's so much that goes into depth when it comes to music theory. It's its own monster of a topic.
A monster of an AP course.
AP US. What was AP music theory? Did I got
yeah, we're talking about US history.
It's because I saw a tweet earlier about AP US history and I was laughing at it. So. But yes, AP music theory. Right. So let's explain a little bit very basic stuff about music in general. So we're gonna start off super basic in terms of the first one is beats. So in music, this means to represent. This is meant to represent each of the individual notes you hear in music. There are obviously different beats because not all beats are the same length. They're not the same like quality, if you want to say that, because you have different quarter notes, you have eighth notes, you have whole notes, you have half notes, etc., etc. Basically, all that means is that these notes have different lengths in regards to time. Right, and these notes. What?
Is it true that Dr. Dre invented beats?
Yes.
Yeah, before Dr. Dre, we didn't know what to classify these as. So.
Yeah.
Wow. Fucking Mozart, Beethoven, worthless.
Yeah, really. Before him, music was actually just not a thing. Mozart, who? I don't even know. Amadeus, same guy. I don't even know.
Dr. Dre.
So, Dr. Dre, the pioneer. So
Mozart, I barely know him.
So yeah, we group these notes or these beats further into what's called measures or bars, depending on which style of music you're listening to, playing to. For the most part, we're going to be referring to them as measures until later when I mention a different terminology. But for right now, each of these notes or beats are classified into different measures.
Or for our northeastern friends, measures.
Measures.
Oh my god, I haven't heard that in forever.
Yeah. Welcome to living in the Pacific Northwest. What's up, y'all?
Right. So then with beats and measures, now you get into what's called time signatures. Basically, there's just a bunch of different structuring with time signatures and stuff. It's just the length of time that each note in gets and stuff. Basically, in some songs, the quarter note gets the beat, meaning that's your reference point when keeping up with time in regards to music. And this is... So the most common time signature is what's known as 4/4 or common time. What that basically means is that the quarter note gets the beat, and that's the bottom number, while there are 4 quarter notes per measure, and that's the top number, hence 4/4. And the reason it's referred to as common time is because that's the most common usage or time signature that is used in music. Basically, any popular pop hip hop song you could think of, basically almost every single anime opening that you could think of is in 4/4 in common time.
It is the SI units of the music world.
Really, it's the centimeter of the music world. So, yeah.
Can't get crazy and go into
I think you guys are leaving out the waltz, and I'm kind of insulted. That's a 3/4. And is
3/4. You have 6/8. You have 12/8. Because why do 12/8?
Yeah, but Jake, it's 2020, not 1936. So.
Well, Malcolm, if you think about it, is it so different?
Well, given this climate that this country is in currently, you may as well say
it was different climate, but
zingers. This is the good shit you pay for.
Oh yeah, that's about as political as we'll get on this podcast. Back to music
for today.
Right. So, what was that?
Sorry, Every time my downstairs neighbor starts to take a shower, it like my entire apartment shakes.
Oh my god,
It's
they're
fine.
using so much
We're
water.
good.
I don't think that's supposed to happen.
Fuck the climate, I guess.
Right. So we talked about time signature, and then the other signature we have to talk about is key signature. All right. Like I said, this is a huge thing in general. I'm not going to deep dive into it. Very basic stuff. So what this means is basically, obviously, music doesn't sound the same. There's different notes. There's different things to worry about. Yeah, I know, Malcolm. It's wild. Before Dr. Dre, we just listened to monotone. It was actually insane.
Yeah,
I remember
the only
those
note
days.
that Mozart knew was B, as in B flat. Can't see.
Yeah, as in
can't hear shit.
badass.
God,
basically,
one music person who actually loves this is gonna find it hilarious. Everyone else is gonna be like,
I don't, really
I
get
don't
this.
know. I feel like they just kind of missed this one.
Yeah. And like I said, this is why we're explaining it, because there's just a lot to think about and talk about during the music. So I'm trying my best to just shorten it as much as possible. I'm giving thousands of years of history of music into just a 40, 50-minute episode. So enjoy that. But right. So basically some key signatures, some songs are happy and upbeat, obviously, and some are sad and slow. And there's a combination of those. Some are jazzy, some are waltzes, etc., right? And that's because of key signatures. These key signatures and the notes in general are ranges from A to G. A to G, and then 3 different versions: flat, natural, and sharp. A flat note basically means the note sounds lower in pitch. A natural note is just that pitch at its core. And then you have a sharp, which is when a pitch sounds higher than the original pitch. So we can think about, let's take notes A and B, like an A note and a B note. Okay, let's think about A being equal to 1 and B being equal to 2, right? So if I was to say, hey, play an A natural, you're playing a 1. I'm saying play a B natural, play a 2. Okay, play an A sharp, all right, you're now playing a 1.5. If I said play a B flat, that's also 1.5. If I say play a B sharp, that's a 2.5.
But also a C.
But also, exactly.
Yeah, you fucked up. You should have picked G and A, buddy.
I know, but fuck it, we're here.
Oh, but then a G flat's an F. There's no good.
It's really hard. It's like, that's like, if you don't really know music, that's
Music
probably
theory is terrifying to me.
It's really hard. So that's the best I can come up with for a non-musical person that doesn't really know much about music, because that's my fault too, is math. But yeah, so in some cases A sharp and B flat is the same note. Oh my god, it's awesome. It's weird. But yeah, in terms of nomenclature, in terms of terminology, that's in essence of the same thing, but they're different.
Yeah, and I think the main thing to take away from this section is that different key signatures are going to give different feels to things. Yeah, different vibes. So you're going to have like major chord. Well, we'll get to major and minor chords. Never mind. That's the next section. So I won't get there yet. But yeah, key signatures are very important. A lot of times on like uplifting pieces, they'll do a key change up to make it like seem more epic.
Modulation.
So modulate. Yeah. So that's when you'll see it in a lot of movies, not just anime, but like the key changes are big for when you're trying to sell a big moment.
Malconius, Hamiltonius.
I do want to have a call to action to all of you and find the key signature that you're good at singing at, because, spoiler alert, not all key signatures are the same, and your voice range does not match it. I will say it right now, I am good in the key of G, everything else will sound like shit.
I'm looking at you, Francis Scott Key. You're the worst national anthem writer ever.
Yeah, who writes that shit in fucking a whole octave, and then let's go up another half octave, and then down another half octave?
Holy moly, that was so dumb to see. It's weirdly written. It's rough.
That's why the national anthem is very difficult for people to sing and perform. It's just like there's a lot of octave jumps, there's a lot of weird key signature changes, and yeah, it's a mess. Let's talk about chords.
Yeah. So, in essence, right, chords are when a group of notes are played together at the same time. All right, that's super explained like I'm 5. And chords are basically like the very bottom note of that chord, because each note, like we were talking about before, let's say A was 1, B is 2. Well, A is lower in value than B is, so that's more of a base of the note, right? So it represents the foundation of the chord, and these foundations in chords can actually progress in relation to the key signatures that we're talking about. I know that's really like hard to grasp if you don't have that much background in music. But basically, it's like these bass notes in these chords affects the pattern in which the song progresses through. So, like I said before, chords are dependent on the key signature that they are in, and these chords, in relation to the key signatures, are numbered in Roman numerals, or can be actually joined up together in major and minor format, major 7th, minor 5th. We're not going to talk about the latter. That's just too much. We're just going to focus on those Roman numerals, because that's much easier to represent. So, for example, let's say we're in the key of super basic, beyond basic. Let's say we're in the key of A. Flat out, we're just in the key of A. All right. Let's say A is going to be the key signature that you're in. So A, the Roman numeral 1 for a chord progression, a chord structure, A is equal to 1. All right. Then 2, Roman numeral 2 is going to be B. Roman numeral 3, C, so on and so forth, up until you get to G, which is going to be 7, right? And then you rinse and repeat when you get back to A. So even though you go up an octave, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I don't even know if that's correct. And then you go, hey.
Yeah, where's Kwaku?
Kwaku's yelling at you right now with his perfect pitch.
It's not perfect pitch!
Holy cow.
But you get the point, right? So it's basically you go up the octave and then you do the entire scale and you go up the next note, and it can still be, 2 notes can still be the same lettering.
Yep.
So you can have, I don't know, A. So it's still the same note, but they're different octaves.
Yep, exactly.
And it's still going to be Roman numeral 1 for chord progression's sake. So.
Yep, and chords are kind of tricky, but know that like most songs are structured around a very simple chord progression.
Yes.
A really good example of this, if you guys want to go YouTube later, it's called Four Chords, and it's made by this band called The Axis of Awesome, and they break down like some of the most popular like pop culture songs of the last like 2 or 3 decades. They are all based off the same 4 chords, and it seems seamless as they switch between the lyrics because they are all based around these chords. So there's some like fundamental chords and building blocks that you can get fancier with your chords. Like you can get, permutations or like make it sound a little bit more sad or a little bit more upbeat. But know that you're always transitioning between chords to make a song, and anime is no different.
Right. Right. What's up, Malcolm?
Just to appease our music lover friends who really do love music theory, I'm looking at you, John. I know you're listening to this. The bottom note of the chord doesn't necessarily give you what the chord is, because you can have inverted chords where like the third is the bottom note. So like, don't email me or tweet at me, John. That's all.
Really
that's all I want.
We know.
We get it, okay?
Yeah,
well,
we know
Malcolm gets it. I don't know shit about music theory.
We know you're better than us at
I
that.
can just read sheet music for trumpet. That is
there
it.
you go.
But yeah, super explain like I'm 5. But that's basically what you need to know when the future that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. The last thing that I want to talk about, because it's a repetition of patterns. And while this doesn't necessarily happen in anime, I think it's a really important thing or anime openings, I think it's still important to talk about, because like you can at least have a reference point to it. So what I'm talking about next is going to be the 32-bar form. This is basically when patterns are repeated in terms of verses, choruses, etc., etc. This is utilized in jazz a lot, but an even more common one that most people know or at least heard of or mentioned before in topic is Deck the Halls. So what I mean is that in 32-bar form, there's going to be a lettering system. In Deck the Halls, it's in the format of AABA. Very simple. 32-bar form means that there's going to be, let's see, 4. It's going to be split up 4 and 4, so it's 8. There's going to be 2 measures, right? So it's 4 beats each. So 4 beats in the first measure, 4 beats in the second measure, and together that's 8, and that forms the first segment, right? So that forms your first A, and that's 8. And then you have another A, then you have a B, then you have an A. So 8 times 4 is 32, hence the 32-bar form. Okay? So for Deck the Halls, for example, it would be something like, deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. That is A, all right? And then we go to the second A. The second A is going to sound almost the exact same as the first A, except that it's going to be a difference in lyrics. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Right, so that's your second, so it's already 16. Then we go into B. It's going to be totally different than the A, but it's still going to be your 8 beats. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Right, and then we hit back to A, even though it's going to be different lyrics once again. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la.
Okay.
Yes, Malcolm. It's actually a continuation.
Real lyrics?
Yeah, the natural continuation.
Man, people were toxic way back then too, huh?
Just gotta troll them, dude.
Yeah, just troll them, dude. Just fucking run it down mid, bro.
Jesus.
Troll the ancient Yordle mid.
Got him. Absolutely destroyed. And I will say there is another.
Yeah, I built Sunfire on a Tristana and Tear of the Goddess. Of course.
They can't kill me if I'm tanky. Duh.
I'm Tank Trist.
It's viable, bro. Get into it. So yes, I know that's a lot of information to take in, especially if you're not musically inclined. You have no idea what music is, right? And that's because I still left a lot of stuff out. Like I said, I don't want to get us to get too bogged down on this because that's not the main focal point of this episode. This episode is mainly just to tackle that anime formula. But now that we've gotten that prerequisite information out of the way, now we can actually talk.
You've now finished Music Theory 101, and now we're ready to talk about anime music 102 with prereqs.
Yes, exactly.
I gotta pick this real low-hanging fruit, though. There is another 32 bar format, and it's ABBA, and that's where you get Dancing Queen from. Thank you, good night. This is my last episode, Seppuku.
Or you could be like John, Sudoku.
God, we are just roasting John this episode.
Hell yeah, buddy. He better, yeah.
Let's talk about the anime OP formula, my dude.
Yes. So now that we've finally got the prerequisite information out of the way, let's tackle that. So, generally in an anime opening, right? Let's use the song structure that we learned from before. And an anime opening is generally going to look like, the minute and 30 version is generally going to look like this. Intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, outro. Done. Because you only have a minute and 30. Every now and then, you'll see a post-chorus being kind of blended in with the outro. Maybe there's not really a pre-chorus, and it's just like a complete verse the entire time. But generally speaking, you have intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and the outro. The pre-chorus can also be supplemented for a bridge of sorts, but I don't really hear that as often. So then, when we tie in the animation portion to it, the intro is the animation sequence before and during the title sequence. Okay. The verse is usually when the character introductions, scene introductions, not too much crazy movement going on in the screen. Pre-chorus, like I said before, the characters are gearing up to fight. The scene starts switching quickly to showcase the upcoming main focal point in terms of the animation. Then the chorus is when the characters, you've already know the characters, you already seen the characters, now they're fighting against people. If it's a shonen, right, or an adventure anime, they're fighting against each other, fighting against enemies, fighting against the sky, because why not? The scenes are crazy, they're switching all over the place, blah, 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 main point of the animation. And then finally, the outro, like I said before, our characters are usually either standing by side, or maybe they're gazing off into the distance. Maybe it's like a big shot of like the sky or whatever with them on the ground and then them looking up.
Yeah, maybe it's SpongeBob and Squidward separated by a brick wall looking at the sun before it goes down because Squidward's about to die. You know.
Yeah, you know. Exactly.
Yeah, the classic anime intros.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the animation side of things. That's the easy side of things, right? And that's a traditional anime opening in terms when I'm referencing like a shonen or an adventure anime, right?
Ooh, did you mention in the verse section that there's a lot of anime characters that are standing in like really tall grass fields and there's wind kicking up and they're like kind of just like gazing out into the distance for no reason?
Why not?
Yeah,
just pondering life.
When, like the wind's blowing inside a building somehow. That's my favorite stuff.
And their hair is just...
Yeah.
Hey Edward, how's it going, man? I've just been thinking about death a lot recently.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool, man. Well, that sounds terrible. Bye.
Okay, so now let's dive into the music portion of this. So before I get into this, I just want to thank Ongaku Concept for breaking this down even further because he did an awesome version of this. And what he does is he relates this for anime. He uses Madoka Magica, and then for the song, like an ordinary pop song, he he uses Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, aka the Rick roll. So basically what happens is that because of chord progression and chord structuring, you can overlace the two and it works out perfectly. And it's like, what the heck? How does that happen? Well, that's because we were talking about before. And there's actually a really famous chord progression that Japan is in love with. But yes, before I move on too further, yeah. So thank you for Ongaku Concept for the video. It's a really good watch. I think it's like 6 minutes. So check them out. The link will be on our show notes and on our YouTube page as well. So yes, the YouTube video is titled "Rick Astley is a Magical Girl," right?
Yeah, so some people's hearts. It's true.
It's true. So right, the super popular chord progression that Japan loves, it's to the point that it has its own name, is the Odo Shinko or Royal Road progression. This progression was heard in the West, during the 1980s or 1990s, exactly right when Never Gonna Give You Up was released. So let me explain the makeup of both of those songs really quickly, and then we could dive into the chord progression itself. So Never Gonna Give You Up is in the key of D flat, and is in common time. So aka was in 4/4 time, right? That means the Roman numeral 1 is assigned to D, right? We get that? Cool. Madoka Magica, an anime we've seen on the podcast actually, is in the key of G flat. So the Roman numeral 1 goes to G. All right, simple. Now that we know both of these songs as key signatures, let's go back to the Royal Road progression. The Royal Road progression is as follows. It's going to be 4, 5, 3, and 6 in terms of the key signature. And like I said, there could be major, there could be minor, but it's generally going to be in major. That's just the nature of how it goes. Major and minor, that's a whole nother animal, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah. So just know 4, 5, 3, and 6. Very simple. Where was I? Like I said before, it's in G. The key of G. G. What the hell? Never Gonna Give You Up is in D flat. I'm sorry, it's a long day. Never Gonna Give You Up is in the key of D flat. So if we use that chord progression, generally speaking, without any inversions or whatever, it would be as follows. It would be, if it was 4, 5, 3, and 6 for Never Gonna Give You Up, it would be G, A, F, and B.
Coincidentally, the same 4 chords that Taylor Swift used in every single one of her songs pre this latest one.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a Taylor Swift poster. Can confirm. Continue.
So if you guys out there are like alt-tabbing to watch the video or have it on a second screen and you're actually following along with Ongaku Concept, you'll see, however, that when he sees or portrays this chord progression, it's actually not 4, 5, 3, 6. The beginning is actually 2, 5, 3, 6. So the only chord that's different is the first one. However, because of the key signatures that they're in, and this is why music theory is just wild, because of the key signatures that they're both in respectively, then you get where, yes, the bass note isn't the same, but the rest of the notes in the chord are the same.
Yep.
So then it's basically the same thing, honestly. So then, let's see, for Madoka Magica in G flat, it would be as follows: D, E, B, and F. So, like I said before, you might be thinking, okay, well, only 3 of those notes share the similarities, right? But that's because of chords. There's multiple notes in a chord, so you can still use different notes. As long as the majority of those notes are the same and in the different chords and the chord structuring, it's still fine because the general chord progression is what's most important.
Right.
So then, even though some of the notes are a little bit different, because the chord progression generally follows 4, 5, 3, and 6, then you're good to go. It's just, okay, cool, perfect. And then Ongaku Concept goes even further, and he interlaces, like I said before, Never Gonna Give You Up over Madoka Magica, and it's like, oh my god, it actually works. Granted, he has to change the time signature just a little bit just to match it up, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the preview of it, and maybe we'll see a little bit of it here, but the link is a really good setup of that. Yeah, like basically, as long as it's close enough in progression, that's what matters, and you can line things up. I mean, that's why like the 4 chords video example also works really well, is that songs might be at different tempos, but the progression is what's important. So if that matches and you find that, then yeah, you can
play around with stuff. It gets really fun.
These babies are Legos.
It's musical Legos. That's what it is. So yeah, with that, I wanted to showcase some videos on the podcast. So for you YouTube listeners out there, and then you'll actually be able to see what we're seeing on the screen.
These are safe for work videos, by the way. We do talk about some crude stuff on this podcast, but these are safe.
Yeah, these are safe for work. This is fine. And then for our podcast listeners out there, Malcolm's going to work his magic. He's going to do great stuff. And yeah,
enjoy the visual medium.
It can be a
Podcast
bunch of promos
listeners,
for
you're
Lumberjack
gonna love
Week.
it.
There's not going to be any real music.
You're gonna click on the link and it's gonna be a political ad.
Yep.
I know it. You're gonna stream it and just go.
All right.
Vote for
So
Pedro.
for everybody, let's see. Let's go live. Oh no! It's not kidding. This is going to be from Rising of the Shield Hero. This is the opening one. I like this one because it's a very, in my opinion, generic show. I have a love-hate relationship with this show, but I think it does justice in an educational sense of being a very generic show. So with that...
8.9 million views? Dog, what?
It's a decent show. It's a pretty decent show.
That's more than I've cumulatively made in my entire life.
Yikes. So with that, guys, sit back and we'll listen to it, and we'll deep dive into it a little bit.
What's up, DMCA?
What's up, DMCA? You can't touch this. At least not right now.
Actually, yeah, let's rephrase that. Please don't touch this. Please, we are begging you.
But yes, as you can see, that's like a super generic anime opening, talking about the song structuring. And, I would have to actually look into the chord progressions themselves to figure it out. But you can hear that it has a general chord progression as it goes along, right? I'm not sure if it uses the Royal Road progression. I think it sounds like it does. But, I mean, I don't have perfect pitch. I'm not going to just say something and be like, oh, yeah, it does, brother. And then all you perfect pitch perfect people, right?
Yeah, pitch perfect people.
I love it.
Are just gonna
P cubed.
Yeah, are just gonna roast the hell out of me. So
hey, I mean, the president can do it. Why can't we?
Apparently, I don't even know.
There's that spicy stuff again.
That debate last night. My God. Anyway, right. So back to anime. Right. So we're almost done. So now that we're out of the Rickroll phase of our podcasting career, the Royal Road progression in and of itself can be applied to a bunch of anime. It's a very common chord progression. Japan loves it. They fell in love with it. The Western, us in the States, kind of fell out of it. Every now and then you still hear it, and you can still interlace it, but it's nowhere near as famous as it used to be or popular as it used to be. And this is the anime, the quote-unquote anime feel that you get whenever you listen to an anime song. You're like, oh, okay, like I feel like I've heard that before, or that sounds really similar. And then the actual song structure, you always ask yourself, well, how come they always do it like that? How come the animation-wise always matches up in terms of other songs? And that's why. So, in essence, honestly, animation-wise, you can grab any other song, and once again, you just mess with the timing a little bit, but you could still get the same effect, where it's like, oh, during the chord or during the intro, this happens. Oh, title screen, okay. And then the verse, okay, they're doing the exact same thing. And then the chorus hits. Oh my God, they're fighting now. It matches. So you can play around with that, and a lot of people do that all the time. As basically AMVs in a nutshell, is what they do that for. It's fun. That's like a whole nother topic, by the way, which would be fun to tackle in the future. But yes, so like I said before, there's a lot of music theory that we skipped over today. It's a very broad, very complicated topic that takes a lot of years of study to actually really understand completely. And I feel like we're still learning stuff to this day about music theory. So yeah, hopefully you guys walked away with enough knowledge and information to actually be able to at least catch on to these things and understand maybe the fundamentals of, oh, okay, that's why that happens, or this is why they do that. Right. Excuse me.
And if we ruined anime OPs for you, we're sorry, but sometimes you just gotta pull the curtain back.
Yep. Yeah.
Illuminati made all this.
No. Brother.
Cool.
But yeah, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, there's a lot of cool music theory. I'm like going down the rabbit hole right now on the Royal Road progression, and apparently someone made a anime version of the 4-chord song, so I'm about to go watch that right as we get off, and yeah, my mind's gonna be blown. I'm gonna find out that Royal Road progression is just cut and paste for every anime.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
That's basically it. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Malcolm, before we wrap it up?
Nah, music's cool. Even if you don't know music theory, just pick up an instrument and start making shit. It feels good. Just do it.
It's fun. It really
sorry.
is.
Don't just do it, Nike. Don't come after me. Please entertain that idea.
Oh my god. All right. So with that, that's going to be it for this episode. We would like to thank Joakim Karun for the use of his music in our podcast. The intro is
Our
Dreams.
off-brand shoe brand, Mikey.
Mikey.
Entertain that idea.
I couldn't hold that one in. You can't
The intro
get us
is
up here.
Flowrider. Links to his contact info will be in our show notes. If you enjoyed listening to us, please make sure to rate us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If video format is more of your thing, then check out our YouTube channel, Weeb the People Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment all our videos there. Check out our website, weebthepeople.com, for more information. Make sure to follow our Twitter handle at weeb_the_people. Facebook page, Weeb the People, an anime podcast. And finally, our Instagram page, Weeb the People Podcast. Sorry, there's a lot to talk about all the time. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to DM us on any of our social medias or email us at weebthepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm your host, Professor Daniel.
It's been a while since I've heard from the Chainsmokers, so I hope y'all are doing okay. But also, I wish I was as rich as you. My name's Malcolm.
Just remember, mushrooms are food for us, and we are food for mushrooms. My name is Jacob.
Weeb the People. And have a great week.
Brought to you by
You guys
Mikey.
feeling lifted? Yeah, brought to you by Mikey.
Mikey.
Entertain that
Please
idea.